Hello everyone, my name is Simone Lugtmeijer and I did a bachelor and master's degree at the Radboud University here in Nijmegen. And my master's specifically focused on gender equality, diversity and inclusion in politics. And from January until June this year, I did an internship, a research internship at the NNED, and this is the Dutch organization for sex diversity. And here I did a study about intersex inclusivity within the Dutch asylum chain. Okay. Well, first I'm going to talk about what is intersex. Well, you can see it on the slide. Intersex is the experience of people born with a body that does not meet society's normative definition of male or female. So we as a society have thought about what is a female and what is a male, and intersex people are born with a body that do not fit these criteria. And approximately, according to a Danish study, 1 in 90 people is intersex. However, 2/3 of the Dutch population has no correct knowledge. So no knowledge at all, or no correct knowledge about what it means to be intersex and what it is exactly. And this can lead to a lot of stigma, secrecy about intersex people. So there is discrimination, as you can see in the graph. This is a European study, and this graph talks about every other area than the work environment. And you can see that intersex scores the highest. Of course, it's not like a competition who gets the most discriminated, but it's an interesting graph. And this can also lead to a lot of secrecy for intersex people, so they don't come out, and they are being very secretive about themselves, because they cannot show who you are because they will get discriminated or judged, or people say, "What do you mean?" They don't understand it. So this is important background information when we talk about intersex people. Okay, why did I choose this topic? Well, first of all, there's a lack of research within of intersex people in general. So intersex people are the least studied from all the letters of LGBTQIA. And specifically, there's a lack of research within the asylum chain when it comes to intersex people. But on the other hand, asylum is one of the biggest issues here in the Netherlands. We have the recent elections where immigration was the number one topic, where anti-immigration parties won the election. So it's a big topic in the Netherlands. So I think therefore it is important to study this, because there is no real knowledge about intersex people within the Dutch asylum chain. I wanted to study it, and course, the NNED played a large role because I had more access to documents and knowledge, because they are the number one expertise center in the Netherlands when it comes to intersex people. And then the societal relevance, of course, 1 in 90 people, that's quite a lot. So it's also from societal relevance that it is important to study this group and that is not left out. So I came to the following research question: to what extent is the Dutch asylum chain inclusive for intersex people? And then I looked at key concepts and theories that are important for my research. So first of all, it's important that there are two types of intersex asylum seekers or refugees. The first is them identifying as intersex and also being accepted within the Dutch asylum chain, or within any asylum chain, as an intersex refugee. And the second one is identifying as intersex. They are intersex, but they obtain the status, the asylum status, on the basis of being LGBT, so lesbian, gay, or bisexual. So they don't come out as, oh, I'm intersex and I want to obtain the status as being intersex. They just focus on being lesbian, gay, or bisexual, and they're on that basis get their status. And then I have two types of discourse that are really important. First one is the migration discourse. And here in the Netherlands, there's a negative stereotypical image of migrants. And it is also really gendered and really dichotomous because it focuses on the males and most of the time from Northern African countries. And gender and sex, the dichotomy between them is very central. So people that fall kind of in the middle, they are being left out. They do not really get that much attention. It's most of the time the dangerous male from the Northern African countries. This is not my opinion, but this is the discourse that plays a role in my country. And then a societal discourse of intersex people. Just like I said, there's invisibility of intersex people, discrimination, stigma, secrecy. So this plays a role in being visible in the asylum chain and being visible in society and being visible in policies. They are not visible. They are invisible because they are secretive about being intersex, and that makes it really difficult to analyze this group. Well, the methods, my least favorite part, but it is important. I used a mixed methods approach, where I first did a literature review because there wasn't a lot of research about in the intersex community within asylum change in general, but also not in the Netherlands. So I looked at all of the existing literature about the links between the asylum chain and LGBTQIA plus community in the Netherlands. And then I did a discourse analysis about all of the policy documents that are important. So I made a coding scheme, and with that coding scheme, I looked at all of the policy documents and coded when are intersex people being noticed? Is there any policies regarding intersex people? Are they visible within the asylum chain? And if they are visible, what are they talking about? So that's what I kind of did. Yes. Okay, and then first the results of the literature review. So I looked at the procedures and the reception. So the procedures of these asylum seekers and the reception. So the reception centers, here we call it AZC's. And these are the centers that the refugees or asylum seekers gather, and they stay here until they get like a permanent place here in the Netherlands. And well, this is being talked about a lot. So there are a lot of Western heteronormative stereotypes during these interviews. And this is also really important for intersex people because they do not fit these stereotypes. And a lot of people do not have the correct knowledge about it. So it's really hard for an IND officer to judge an intersex person and what they have been through. And then when they arrive at these reception centers, there's a strict gender and sex binary. And this is really important for intersex people because they most of the time do not fit these binaries. So they are like, okay, where do I have to go? They are being misgendered. So that's really, difficult. And this can lead to a lot of violence, abuse, rape, because they do not fit one of these boxes. So there's violence, abuse, and even rape to intersex people. And of course, the lack of privacy, that's also really important because they struggle with body image. They are most of the time confused, not about who they are, but they come from a country where maybe intersex is also not really accepted. So without the right medical help and psychological help, they are very vulnerable, and therefore the lack of privacy that's really, really difficult for them. And just like I said, the access to proper healthcare is limited. And some intersex people really do need hormones. And yeah, it's just not available. And that can be most of the time really difficult and even life-threatening for some. Then I have the result of the discourse analysis. Yeah, so I looked at the policy documents, and here I saw the invisibility of intersex people within the whole chain of policy documents and the whole chain of policy itself. So there are no specific parliamentary questions, despite the unsafety, despite the abuse, the rape, and everything within these reception centers. Also, the most important policy document is the E&A work instruction, because the E&A officers base all of their knowledge and choices on that work instruction. And it fails to even mention intersex specifically. So it talks about the LGBTQIA community as a whole, and it identifies LGB, but it does not identify the rest. So they're all through on a bunch, and yeah, because yeah, so that's really difficult for intersex people, but also for trans people, because the policies for trans people are not the same as for intersex people. There is a lot of diversity within these groups, so we have to define them really specifically and look what do they need from this asylum policies. And there's a focus on an extensive and authentic personal story within these procedures. So that's really difficult for intersex people specifically, because they do not come out as most of the other letters in the LGBTQIA. They are focused on secrecy. They are focused on not telling their story. Most of the time, they don't even know what they can tell. Is it the medical story? Is it social story? So it's really difficult for them. And there's only one legal case where I have all of the documents from beginning to end. There are a few that I have just small pieces of documents, but they are not one full case. So there's just one legal case where I have everything. So this really shows the invisibility of intersex people, because yeah, it's 1 in 90. So it cannot be that there's only one legal case. So there has to be more, but they are hidden behind out their stories, or yeah, intersex people are just hidden within these asylum chains. What conclusion? Yeah, the asylum application procedure is not is not inclusive for intersex people, because they focus on an authentic story, a personal story, a big story, and that's really difficult for them. Reception centers, yeah, a lot of abuse, rape, lack of privacy, no access to medical health care. So the Dutch asylum chain in general is not inclusive, and intersex people are invisible. And they're also invisible within the Dutch government. So the NNED works really hard to change this. But yeah, it's not a really positive conclusion, but it is one. So I made a few policy recommendations to, yeah, kind of beat this problem. And the first one is training to beat stereotypes. I think the E&A officers must have training to beat these stereotypes and get knowledge about intersex people, so they know what to do when an intersex person, refugee, comes to them and tells their story, or so that they won't judge. And yeah, then the review the work instructions. I think that intersex and all the other letters have to have a specific definition, and the policies have to be on the basis of that definition. So we cannot just throw them on a, yeah, we can just not just generalize them all, like, oh, we have to do this for the whole LGBTQIA plus community. We have to define each group and make policies on the basis of that specific group. And the units in every center, these are wings in every reception center. I think this is really, really important for the safety of intersex and the whole LGBTQIA plus community. Better mental and physical health care. This is now lacking, but I want to say we have to avoid unnecessary treatments. This still happens here in the Netherlands. And these are treatments on young children, young intersex children, to like fit them in a box. And this is a human rights violation, and we don't plead for that, and we don't want that to happen within these asylum centers. So if an intersex child is maybe being born within an AZC, or little intersex kids are being held there, we do not want them to get them to a hospital and change their genitals with the most horrendous consequences. So we don't want that. Further research, for qualitative research, we need more cases, we need more stories on this topic. We need intersex people to be more visible, but this can take a lot of time. And interviews with stakeholders. Erik van den Burg, the previous state secretary of asylum, he wanted to do an interview with me, but due to lack of time and personal circumstances of myself, I couldn't do it. But now he's gone, so that's a shame. And I'm not really sure if Marjolein Faber wants to do it. I don't think so, but maybe she will. But Erik van den Burg was open to talking about this and how we can change this for intersex people and the whole LGBTQIA community as a whole. But now times have changed, unfortunately, with the new government. So I'm hopeful, but not really right now. Yes. Oh, and well, this was for of course, the real life presentation. But thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, you can also email me, of course, at ninamagesimone@outlook.com. You can always send me an email, and I'll answer all of your questions. Thank you so much for listening.